My friends, have you ever noticed something very interesting? The wisest people in the room are often the quietest. The strongest souls are not always surrounded by crowds. And the people with the deepest understanding of life sometimes walk alone. Why? Because intelligence changes the way you see the world. You stop chasing noise. You stop begging for validation. You stop forcing connections that drain your peace. And listen carefully. Being alone is not the same as being lonely. A lonely person feels empty without people. A wise person feels complete, even in silence. That is a powerful difference. Today's society teaches us that being constantly surrounded by people means success. Social media says if nobody is calling you, texting you, inviting you, then something must be wrong with you. But intelligent people discover something very early. Not every connection is healthy. Not every friendship is real. And not every crowd deserves your presence.
Sometimes the smartest decision is distance. You know what happens when a person becomes emotionally intelligent? They begin to value peace more than popularity. They no longer tolerate fake conversations, forced smiles, or relationships built on convenience. They would rather sit alone with honesty than laugh in a room full of pretenders. And let me tell you something important. Protecting your peace is not arrogance. It is emotional maturity. Many intelligent people stay alone because they think deeply. Their minds are constantly analyzing life, purpose, behavior, and emotions. While others are busy competing, showing off, and seeking approval, the wise person is questioning life itself. Who am I becoming? What truly matters? Am I living according to my values? These questions separate thinkers from followers. You see, shallow environments exhaust deep people. Gossip exhausts them, drama exhausts them, constant negativity exhausts them. That is why smart people often reduce their social circle, not because they hate people, but because they finally understand the value of energy. Energy is everything. Who you spend time with shapes your mindset. Who you listen to shapes your confidence. Who surrounds you shapes your future. And intelligent people become very careful about that. There is another reason wise people stay alone. They have learned the pain of betrayal. Intelligent hearts are often sensitive hearts. They observe deeply, love deeply, trust carefully, and remember everything. When they are hurt, they do not become louder, they become quieter. Not because they are weak, because they are learning. A smart person understands that not every battle deserves a reaction. Sometimes silence is the highest form of wisdom. Sometimes walking away is greater than winning an argument. Sometimes losing people is necessary to find yourself again. And let me say this clearly, if someone cannot respect your boundaries, they do not deserve unlimited access to your life. You must stop apologizing for protecting your mental peace. The world often misunderstands quiet people. People think silence means sadness. But many times, silence means clarity. It means the person is rebuilding, healing, reflecting, and growing. Growth requires solitude. Look at nature. The seed grows underground before the world sees the tree. Diamonds are formed under pressure. Great ideas are born in silence. Even your strongest decisions happen when you sit alone and finally listen to your own thoughts. That is why intelligent people spend time alone. They are not escaping life. They are understanding it. And here is something beautiful. When you become comfortable alone, you stop settling for less. You stop chasing attention from people who only value you when they need something. You stop lowering your standards just to avoid being alone. Because you finally realize this truth, it is better to walk alone in the right direction than to follow a crowd moving toward destruction. Some people stay in toxic friendships because they fear isolation. Some stay in painful relationships because silence scares them. But strong people understand that temporary loneliness is far better than permanent disrespect. Never trade your peace for acceptance. Intelligent people also know the importance of self-development. While others waste hours comparing themselves to the world, wise people invest in learning, improving, reading, creating, healing, and building their future. Time alone becomes their classroom. Pain becomes their teacher. Reflection becomes their guide. And eventually, something powerful happens. They stop needing applause. They become self-driven, self-aware, emotionally independent. They no longer wait for someone else to tell them their worth because they already know who they are. That is real confidence, not loudness, not ego, not showing off. Real confidence is being able to sit alone and still feel complete. My friends, do not fear solitude. Fear losing yourself, trying to please everyone. Fear becoming someone you no longer recognize just to fit into a crowd that was never meant for you. Some of the greatest transformations happen in isolation. That season where nobody understood you, that period where you felt disconnected, that moment where you walked away from negativity. Maybe it was not punishment. Maybe it was preparation. Because sometimes life separates you from distractions so you can finally hear your own purpose. And remember this forever. Smart people do not stay alone because they think they are better than others. They stay alone because they have learned the value of peace, purpose, and self-respect. So if you are walking alone right now, use this season wisely. Learn, grow, heal, build your mind, strengthen your character, discover your purpose. Because one day, the same solitude that felt painful will become the reason you became unstoppable. People are terrified of being alone because the world has convinced them that silence means emptiness. But listen to me carefully, being alone does not mean you are broken. It does not mean nobody loves you. And it certainly does not mean your life has no value. There is a massive difference between loneliness and solitude, and intelligent people understand this better than anyone else. Loneliness is when you sit in a crowded room and still feel invisible. It is when people surround you, but nobody truly understands your heart. It is laughing outside while suffering inside. It is seeking attention because you are afraid to face yourself. And so many people today are trapped there. Constant scrolling, constant texting, constant noise, not because they are happy, but because they are running from themselves. But solitude. Oh, solitude is powerful. Solitude is when you choose peace over chaos. It is when you sit alone and instead of feeling empty, you begin discovering who you really are. That quiet moment becomes your classroom. Your pain becomes your teacher. Your reflection becomes your strength. Intelligent people know that growth does not happen in noise. It happens in silence, in reflection, in those moments where nobody is clapping for you, but you continue improving yourself anyway. And let me tell you something important. If you cannot enjoy your own company, no crowd will ever complete you. Stop depending on people to fill emotional emptiness that only self-love can heal. The strongest people are not those who always need company. The strongest people are those who can stand alone, think alone, rebuild alone, and still walk through life with confidence in their soul. Smart people become extremely careful about where their energy goes because they understand one painful truth. Not everybody deserves access to your mind, your heart, or your peace. Oh yes, intelligent people learn this the hard way. After being disappointed, used, ignored, betrayed, or emotionally drained again and again, they finally wake up and say, enough! I cannot keep pouring my soul into people who only take from me. You see, energy is invisible, but it controls your entire life. One toxic conversation can destroy your mood for hours. One negative person can make you doubt yourself. One fake friendship can exhaust your spirit more than physical work ever could. And smart people notice these things deeply. They pay attention to behavior, attitude, intentions, and emotional patterns. They can feel when someone is pretending. They can sense when a relationship is becoming heavy instead of healthy. That is why intelligent people stop chasing everybody's approval. They stop forcing connections just to avoid being alone. They would rather protect their peace than entertain drama. And society calls them distant or cold, but the truth is they are simply protecting their mental health. Listen carefully. Every person around you either adds energy to your life or removes it. There is no middle ground. Some people inspire you, motivate you, and help you grow. Others constantly complain, gossip, manipulate, and spread negativity everywhere they go. Smart people understand that if you stay too long around toxic energy, eventually your own light starts fading too. So they create boundaries, strong boundaries. They learn to say no without guilt. They stop explaining themselves to people committed to misunderstanding them. Because maturity is realizing that protecting your peace is not selfish. It is necessary for survival in a noisy and draining world. The moment a person truly discovers self-respect, everything changes. Absolutely everything. The way they speak changes, the way they think changes, the way they allow others to treat them changes. Intelligent people often stay alone because they refuse to betray themselves just to keep unhealthy relationships alive. They finally understand this powerful truth: losing yourself to please others is the most painful loss of all. So many people tolerate disrespect because they are afraid of rejection. They stay in toxic friendships, one-sided relationships, and fake environments because they fear being alone. But smart people reach a point where they say, no more. I would rather walk alone with dignity than stay somewhere I am constantly disrespected. That is self-respect. Self-respect means you stop begging for attention from people who ignore your value. It means you stop shrinking your personality just to make insecure people comfortable. It means you stop saying yes when your soul is screaming no. Oh, and this is difficult because the world rewards people who sacrifice their peace to satisfy everyone else. But intelligent people know that every time you ignore your own worth, you teach others to do the same. And listen to this carefully. Boundaries are not walls to keep love away. Boundaries are doors that teach people how to enter your life correctly. Smart people understand this deeply. They no longer allow manipulation disguised as love. They no longer tolerate disrespect disguised as jokes. They no longer chase people who only remember them when convenient. Because once you respect yourself, you stop accepting crumbs where you deserve loyalty. You stop begging for honesty where lies are repeated. You stop fighting for places where your presence is barely appreciated. And yes, sometimes that journey leads to solitude, but intelligent people know peaceful solitude is far better than emotional slavery inside toxic relationship. Silence scares many people because the moment everything becomes quiet, they are finally forced to face themselves. No distractions, no applause, no noise to hide behind. Just their thoughts, their fears, their truth. But intelligent people, they understand that silence is not the enemy. Silence is where transformation begins. Some of the greatest lessons in life are learned when nobody is around. Oh yes, because when the world becomes quiet, your mind finally starts speaking. You begin reflecting on your decisions, your habits, your pain, your future. You stop reacting emotionally to everything and start understanding yourself on a deeper level. That is why smart people often spend time alone. They are thinking, analyzing, learning, rebuilding. And let me tell you something powerful. Growth is impossible without reflection. If you are constantly surrounded by noise, constantly entertaining people, constantly distracting yourself, how will you ever understand who you truly are? Intelligent people know they need moments of isolation to recharge their soul. That quiet room becomes a place of healing. That lonely walk becomes therapy. That silence becomes wisdom. While others fear being alone with their thoughts, wise people use those moments to sharpen their mind and strengthen their character. They ask difficult questions. What kind of person am I becoming? What habits are destroying my peace? What must I change to create a better future? And those questions create emotional maturity. You see, noisy people often avoid growth because growth requires honesty. Silence forces honesty. It reveals your weaknesses, your insecurities, your hidden wounds. But instead of running from that truth, intelligent people face it directly. They heal privately, improve quietly, and grow without needing the world's attention. Because real transformation is not loud. Real transformation happens in silence. When nobody sees the struggle, but you keep becoming stronger anyway. Intelligent people stop chasing attention because they eventually realize something shocking. Attention is cheap, but genuine connection is rare. Oh yes, anybody can gather a crowd for entertainment, for gossip, for temporary excitement, but finding people who truly respect your mind, understand your heart, and support your growth, that is completely different. That is why smart people become very selective about who enters their life. They no longer feel impressed by popularity. They are not obsessed with being liked by everyone. They understand that trying to please everybody is emotional exhaustion. And listen carefully. The moment you desperately seek attention, you start losing your authenticity. You begin changing yourself for approval. You hide your real feelings. You become addicted to validation from people who may not even care about your future. But wise people refuse to live that way. They choose quality over quantity. One honest friendship means more to them than 100 fake conversations. One loyal person is more valuable than a room full of temporary supporters. Because intelligent people know that crowds disappear during difficult times. Real people stay. And this is why many smart people appear distant. Not because they hate socializing, but because shallow interactions no longer satisfy them. They crave depth, real conversations, real loyalty, real emotional intelligence. They do not want relationships built on convenience, status, or entertainment. They want peace, honesty, and mutual respect. Let me tell you something powerful. Your circle influences your destiny. If you constantly surround yourself with negativity, gossip, jealousy, and fake energy, your mind slowly becomes weak. But when you protect your environment and choose people carefully, your confidence becomes stronger, your peace becomes deeper, and your life becomes more meaningful. Intelligent people understand this deeply, so they stop chasing attention and start protecting the quality of their relationships and inner world. Most people waste their time alone complaining, overthinking, feeling sorry for themselves, and waiting for someone to rescue them. But intelligent people do something completely different. They transform solitude into power. Oh yes, they understand that time alone can either destroy you or develop you depending on how you use it. Instead of chasing distractions every second, smart people sit with their goals. They learn new skills. They read, they reflect, they improve their mindset. While others are addicted to noise and attention, wise people are quietly building themselves in silence. And one day the world looks at them and says, "Wow, you changed." But nobody saw the lonely nights, the discipline, the self-control, the sacrifices, and the inner battles that created that transformation. Listen carefully. Greatness is often built in private before it is recognized in public. Intelligent people know this deeply. That is why they do not fear being alone. They use those moments to strengthen their mind and prepare for a bigger future. They understand that if you cannot control yourself in isolation, you will never control your life in the outside world. And let me tell you something powerful. Your habits during solitude reveal your true character. What do you do when nobody is watching? Do you waste your time or do you build yourself? Smart people understand that every hour matters, every decision matters, every small improvement matters. That is why solitude becomes their training ground. Pain teaches them resilience. Silence teaches them focus. Reflection teaches them wisdom. And slowly, step by step, they become emotionally stronger, mentally sharper, and spiritually more confident. Because intelligent people do not wait for perfect conditions to grow. They take their loneliness, their struggles, their isolation, and they turn it into purpose, discipline, and unstoppable inner strength.